Hello, hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, hello. Hi. I know the ad break just started. I'm still trying to fix my shirt. Hi, everybody. Why the fuck isn't it working? Buttons are evil, I think. Everything should just be snaps. Hi, everybody. You got here just in time. You did. T-stream. Indeed, it is a T-stream. I'm waiting for the... Get a button. Hi, everybody. Was I can't fucking God. You know what? I don't care. I don't need to do up the buttons. I'll just roll up the sleeves. Oh, hi, Salt. Didn't see you there. Yeah, I look a little different, I think. Hi, everybody. Fancy shirt, yes. Shirt's very nice today. Thank you. I wanted to dress nice for the tea stream. Let me say hi to everybody. Hi, Bite. Hi, Jamp. Hi, Raven. Hi, Keko. Hi, Leaf. Hi, Sunset. Hello, Wenzel. Is pond water tea? No, I think that would be more of a soup. Hi, Lazuli. Hello, Mossy. T-stream? T-stream? Hi, Rin. Yes, it is a T-stream. Hi, Disco. Coffee is bean tea. No. Hi, Razaria. Hi, Kyra. Hi, Moody. Hi, Krim. Did I say hi to Moon already? Hello again. Hello, Slumber. Hello, Asher. Swamp water is tea? No. Your tattoos make me want to get arm of eyes. I plan on having this go all the way down my arm eventually. Hi, Skylar. I'm like shrimped on my bed. Shrimped on your bed? Pond is as Leaf's warm cook. Thanks. Oh, the Goober Sona. I forgot to turn off redeems. 1 second. Sorry, guys. I can't see you for a second while I go and turn off some of my redeems. Because we don't need save on and we don't need Goober on. I'm also going to turn off some of the ones that are especially loud. Because I took this very seriously. Because it's something I'm very passionate about. Thank you for the hydrate. Funnily enough, I don't have anything to drink right now. I have to make the tea first. Okay, I'm scrolling down to the bottom. Okay. Wait, I have water. Okay. Is tea actually hydration? Yes. To an extent, yes. Caffeine dehydrates you, but a very small amount, but not to an extreme degree. Tea has less caffeine than coffee, though, which is why people will tell you that like energy drinks and coffee aren't very hydrating. But people will argue that tea is hydrating, and the reasoning is the amount of caffeine, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference between like coffee and tea. But if you have questions, write them down and I will answer them. But I do have a presentation to start us off with. Does tea have caffeine? Yes, it does. Ocean is technically tea after throwing tea in the ocean in the 1700s. Yeah. Met some online friends for the first time today. They were so awesome. Squibble, that's awesome. I have tea for you all. We found one of our... Wrong type of tea, Wetzel. Snazzy shirt. Thank you, Tria. There's more water in coffee than the caffeine will take. Yeah. tea is hydrating because I drink so much of it. Yeah. Um, wait, it stopped. Okay, there we go. So, uh, I today we are talking about tea. This was a tip goal, and anybody who's been here a while knows that I have tea I have a cup of tea every stream. I drink anywhere from 3 to 5 cups of tea a day. Most of the time I drink a black tea with milk and sugar, but uh sometimes I'll drink a proper session. I have my tea table sitting behind me with my traditional teaware. Thank you for the stretch. Um, but most of the time, I'll just drink it Western style in a big old mug with a bunch of milk and sugar. Hi, Kyla. Lavender chamomile. Excellent choice. Salt is at least 5% tea. At least. Scovray! Thank you so much for the 4 months! Thank you! Tea pets, salt vibes. Actually, though I think you're referring to a different kind, I am gonna do a tea ceremony for you a little bit later. Not any sort of fancy one. It's sort of a grandpa style Chinese tea service. But I have tea pets that I will show you as well. Little guys, yeah. You have some great tea pets. Thank you. Grandpa style is my favorite style. I'll get into that more later about what grandpa style actually means as well. Hi, Andy. Oh, that sound scared me. It's my water boiling. Um, had this on my mind since you announced it yesterday. Ah. Well, here, let me turn up. You're gonna just occasionally hear my kettle going off in the background. Here we go. Okay, so I have a presentation here for you guys. And, yeah. Welcome to the world of tea. I'm actually going to pull up I have a script written, but I'm going to pull it up on my phone because I think it'll be easier to read that way. For those who have seen, like, for example, Bytes presentation streams, it's not going to be anything fancy like that. I'm not quite as good at that sort of thing, but I wanted to get you guys some visuals. I need chapstick. Androgynous Tony Soprano drip. Thanks, EXO. Alright, so, welcome to the world of tea. What is tea? Is sort of the first thing to start off with. And tea comes from the tea plant. Why did it go back? Hello? Stop that. Okay. I don't know how Google Slides work. I've never used it before. Bear with me. It comes from the tea plant. There is an actual individual plant. It's called Camellia sinensis. That is its Latin, that is its species name. And all true tea comes from Camellia sinensis, the tree plant, the tea tree plant. It can be red. When you think about tea, a lot of people, when they're like, my favorite type of tea is chamomile, or I like rooibos tea, or if you go to South America, people drink yerba mate. Those are called teas, but technically, they're not actually tea because they don't come from the tea plant. So all of the 6 types of tea that you see in this image here, those are all true teas. They all come from the tea plant. All of those different colors of tea and of the liquid, all the different shapes of the tea leaves, that's all from the same plant. There are different cultivars, but it's all Camellia sinensis. I'm so excited to hear about tea. Hell yeah, Bractus, I'm glad you're here. Can I ask silly questions too? Yes, you can ask silly questions. But again, if you have questions that you're like, I want to know the answer to this, try to hold on to it until the presentation is done. It shouldn't be too long. I might answer your question during it, and then I'll actually be able to see them all one in a row. Um, I have no idea what to do with the half pound of oolong I have. What type of oolong is it? What type of what? Why is that one round? Oh, I can't wait to answer that for you. I'm literally taking notes. Yay! Is this for school or just for fun? Just for fun. This is I technically am training to become a tea sommelier, mostly for my own interest, but also because I think it would be I would like to work in the tea industry if it comes up in the future. But this was a tip goal, and then this presentation I just kind of threw together with Google Images. I know nothing, so visuals help. I'm glad that I did this like literally an hour before stream. Testicular tea, no. Um. Anyway, tea sommelier. It's like wine sommelier. It's basically a tea taster, a professional who is like, you can pair this tea with this, or this is like you could like if you see someone doing like a fancy tea tasting and they're a tea sommelier, they'll be like, this has notes of honey and floral. It's quite full bodied. It really fills and sticks to your mouth. And there's I learned how to do it when I was in the class, but that was like a year ago. Um, I'll have to see your goober on a tea packet one day. Hi Zim, hello. Anyways, but yes, rooibos, yerba mate, guayusa, yaupan, and herbal teas slash tisanes. Um, those don't count as tea technically, but if someone really gets on your case about it, they suck. Don't listen to them. um, where does tea come from? Uh, no, not in England. That's for sure. Not from the UK. um, it comes from mostly Asia. So in East Asia, Taiwan and Japan are large exports, and of course, originally southern China is where tea originated from. Um, in South Asia, India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal are the main exports. Tea also comes from Africa, in Kenya and Malawi, also in Tanzania, Uganda. I'm forgetting a couple others, but Kenya is sort of the main export. Malawi I mentioned because I've tried one of the teas from there. And of course, in South Africa, that's where rooibos is from. Again, not true tea, but comes from South Africa. There are tea farms all over the world, though. In Turkey, Vietnam, Iran, Argentina. Argentina has a huge tea export. There's even one tea farm in Canada that has a specific cultivar that can hold up to the colder climate. And there's a couple tea farms in the U.S. as well. Most of them are in Hawaii, but I believe there's one in South Carolina, and I follow one that's in Mississippi. Yeah, they're quite small, obviously, because it can take decades to grow and cultivate tea plants to the point where you can actually harvest enough to have enough tea to export or to even sell locally or drink. Um, Hawaii would be the best climate, I assume. Because tea plants grow best in higher altitudes, in warmer climates, and honestly, the kind of rainforest climate of British Columbia is kind of what has made the tea farm that's in BC be able to do what it does. I want to visit there one day so badly. Um, Time to order from Canada. It's very expensive, understandably, because they get very small batches. Um, but it is. I want to order some from them one day as well. Uh, this I have a couple slides here with just like images from each of these places. So this is These are all photos of Chinese tea preparation. The largest image is a tea plantation in Yunnan province, which is the oldest, I believe, the oldest producing region. The top left is Chinese tea preparation, which you see has a very small pot. Um, I have one of those as well, which I'll show more later. And then, oh, what was this photo from? Oh, that was Dragon Well, the actual tea leaves after they have been plucked and then they've started to wither a little bit, um, uh, just from like no longer being attached to the bush, and that will become a Longjin tea or Dragon Well. Don't a lot of tea farms situate around volcanoes because of rich soil, or is that a different plant? I'm not sure actually. Uh, Not as far as I'm aware, but BC is very tropical compared to the rest of Canada. That's true. We are in a temperate rainforest, so salt cultivating more tea enjoyers. Um, Dragonwell, my beloved. I love Dragonwell. Sneezable, thank you for the follow. Welcome into the kingdom of salt. Just so you guys know, I don't like tea, but salt is the only one to make me a tea that I genuinely like. You can find, I genuinely believe, you can find a tea for everybody. Everybody. You can find a tea for anybody. Maybe you only like that one and you'll be like, I never want to try anything else. Or like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that. That's fine. But I believe that there is a tea for everybody. Even if it's a fruit tea full of hibiscus and dried fruit and stuff like that, there is one for everybody. Kingdom of Tea, more like, yeah. There's tea rooms near me. Yeah, if you ever want to go to like a proper tea room, look them up in your area, but make sure you know what kind of tea room you want to uh go to, and also make sure uh okay, I don't know the history on this, but a tea house was also considered a brothel at one point in time. I don't think that is modernly used anymore, so you shouldn't have to worry about it, but just be mindful. Um, Sometimes finding your personal tea is a journey. Yeah. I'd probably prefer a fruity one. Yeah. And that's fine. Um, why not both? Yeah. Okay. Uh, why does it hate me? No. Hello? Stop. 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 Go. Okay. Japan. So why does it keep doing that? Stop it. Okay. So Japanese tea plantation, that's in the, oh my god. Shi Shizuoka. Shizuoka Prefecture. You can see Mount Fuji in the background, and I believe that is tea being prepared to be ground into matcha. The bottom image, thanks Keko. The bottom image is what I believe would probably be either a sencha or a gyokuro tea, and a kyusu pot. And a Japanese teapots, they have often a kyusu will have the handle on the side for easy pouring. And then the large image is someone performing a traditional tea ceremony, which would be with matcha. Now, a cool thing about matcha tea ceremonies is that traditionally, the scoop they use to pour the water, the bamboo whisk, the holder for the whisk, the holder for the scoop, the chashaku, which is the scoop. Unless I'm mixing up words, I'm probably gonna get nervous and mix up words. If you know I'm incorrect, feel free to correct me. The scoop for serving the matcha powder into the bowl, it would all come from the same piece of bamboo, and those pieces would be passed down. It's basically like a family heirloom sort of thing, and then eventually, once the bamboo has worn down or has begun to degrade, it would be ceremonially put to rest. Mixed salt is gonna have you on. Is this gonna be on the final? No, it's fine. There's no final test. Though there will be a quiz later. Technically, there's going to be one question I ask you guys. Uh Literally a shop I go to called Tea Junction, where they sell all types of coffee beans you buy by weight, loose tea accessories, no tea pets and such. Is there a eunuch with sobbing? Next, India. So here, stop that. Okay. The large photo shows folks gathering the tea leaves at a plantation in India, and then a couple photos of chai being prepared. Now, chai literally translates to tea. So if you ever go to India and you're like, I want a chai tea, you're just saying TT. um, chai is translates to tea. What if you're specifically wanting like a spiced tea? You're probably gonna want like a masala chai, is what you would say. But depending on the region you're in, the variation of like how much of each spice is going into the tea is gonna vary. Um, it's the same with in Japan and China, cha or ocha is tea. So if you're looking at kukicha or sencha or genmaicha, that's all just saying like different types of tea. Same with like hojicha. My oolong's from. You have an oolong from India? I want to try an Indian oolong tea. Chai tastes like cinnamon toast crunch. Sometimes, yeah. You want tea with your coffee? Coffee. I grew up on masala chai because of my mom. Nice. Um. Me when I asked for a vanilla chai latte. So much. I have a half a pound of it. Mail me some. Um. But for masala chai in India, how it's traditionally prepared is you'd actually put your black tea, your spices, your milk, all of it together in the pot and you'd boil it. Or you'd boil, I think, the milk and spices first and then you add the tea. I don't remember the exact order. And of course, you would grind up the spices yourself so you can mix exactly how much of each you want. And then you would pour it like she's pouring here in the top photo, that combination into the cup through a strainer. There is tea in Korea. Yes. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot to include Korean tea. Um, I've only tried one Korean tea. I think it was just called Korean Sejak. Oh my god, I just forgot about it. That's my bad, guys. But yes, Korea has tea as well. Um, I think Korea. I think if I remember correctly, is similar in Taiwan, and that they have like a slightly like they have a tighter grip on their tea exports. So it's not it's harder to find internationally. Taiwan in recent years though did has lightened up a bit on their tea exports. You can actually get Taiwanese oolongs sometimes. Um, my housemate just got a thing of Kashmiri chai. Oh, I've never had traditional Kashmiri chai, but there was a tea at David's Tea called Kashmiri chai that was a green tea based chai tea, and it was so good. It was my favorite, and then they took it away. I hate David's Tea. Never buy from David's Tea. They're the worst. You can find alternatives that are more affordable. They treat their staff better. They're better companies as a whole, and you will get a better flavor. Anyways, sorry. I worked there. I have opinions. Um is the music too loud? I might turn it down a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then okay, Africa. Now Africa has stop it. Stop. Stop. Okay. Africa has become a large export for tea. However, tea was in. I don't know about the other countries in Africa, but I know that tea was only brought to Kenya in the 1900s. I couldn't find in my limited time that I prepared this in. I didn't find more facts about that. Um, but CTC, which means cut, tear, curl, it's a specific processing style of tea, which is what the top image is. That wait, why is it okay? what the top image is there. It looks like coffee grounds, right? But it's CTC style tea. A large amount of it comes from Kenya, and it basically means that it is machine processed to give it these uniform pellet shapes, and they have a super strong and malty flavor. It's one of my favorite types of tea because of how strong it is. I couldn't drink it without milk and sugar though. um, but because of the fact that it's cut, it's torn, it's curled, and these tiny pellets, that's why the flavor is so strong. It does mean it's more difficult to get multiple steeps out of it though. Adagio has a whole drop down for David's teas that they have dupes for. It's funny. Yeah, just go to Adagio. Salt on their salt box. True. As someone who failed social studies in high school, you are making up for it. Social studies is basically high school history, kind of. I literally, my background on my computer is a map of the world because I started learning about different tea making countries, and I have very little knowledge on like geography, and so I was like, I want to know more, and so now my background is just a map of the world because I want to understand how the planet works, how countries and stuff look. To be fair, I doubt that coffee grounds, since coffee needs to be roasted to look that color. Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm not a coffee person. Get Rim. Where's Rimbe? But anyways, so as you can see, these ladies are harvesting from a tea plant, and then we have the CTC style tea that is also from the tea plant. But then the bottom picture here is actually of rooibos. That is a rooibos farm. You can also find wild rooibos, so obviously they just go out and pick from the bushes themselves. But that is what rooibos looks like. It's a low-growing bushy plant, and it's harvested specifically in South Africa. Hi, Scuffsy. Hello. Coffee beans are green and then roasted till they're brown. Okay, I did know that. So I have only included pictures from these 4 main exports, but it's fine. Anyways, we're gonna go into tea history. Stop it. Stop. Oh my god, stop.
Welcome to A Brief History of Tea, the world.
Bad. Okay. So, history of tea. We have a couple notable figures. Though the first 2 are just legend because it goes so far. Once you get to a certain point in history, it's just legend. Like, so first we have Shen Nong. The legend with him, legend has it that the Emperor Shen Nong discovered tea in 2737 BC while boiling water in the shade of a tree. A light breeze carried a few of the leaves to fall into his boiled water, producing a delicate liquor and perfume. The legend says that when the emperor tasted it, he found it to be delicious. What is that thumbnail? Don't worry about it. The next legend of the origin of tea, which is a little less believable, but it has to do with Bodhidharma, which I believe he's considered a god? I'm unfamiliar. I just know this legend. Bodhidharma was the first patriarch of Zen. He sat facing the Shaolin Temple in China and was determined to meditate for 9 years. At one point, he dozed off. Upon waking, angry at his own weakness, he sliced off his eyelids and threw them to the ground. Legend says that from the eyelids, the first tea bush grew. Yeah. Obviously, less believable. So tea can be perfume? The perfume more refers to the aroma of the tea. I forgot how wild myths can be. Yeah. Next, we get into actual, like, these people existed. So, Lu Yu, so this was AD, but, like, 723 to 804 AD. Lu Yu was the first to create a treatise. These are from my notes from the class that I took. Basically the first like method of tea preparation. Chajing, or traditions of tea, which standardized methods of preparation for the first time. You can buy renditions of this, though the original copy has unfortunately been lost. There are rewrites and renditions of this that have been translated into the classic of tea or the way of tea. If it says Lu Yu, it is something that has been derived from his standardization. Where did... Okay. We'll get to Sen no Rikyu in a moment. But tea was consumed largely for medicinal purposes until the Tang Dynasty, after what point people began to explore more of, and because of Lu Yu as well, people began to explore more artistic and spiritual sort of practices and traditions with tea instead of just for medicinal use. Tea was first brought to Japan in the 17th century, brought by a Buddhist monk, or the Buddhist monks, so Japan associated it with Zen Buddhism. It wasn't grown in Japan until the 15th century, though, so it was always just brought over. If I do fancy tea room date with my friends to celebrate my 3 years on testosterone, that's really funny. I like that a lot. The first Grand Tea Master in Japan was Sen no Rikyu, so 1522 to 1591, 15th century, 16th century. He transformed tea into a religion, an art, and a philosophy. Learning the Japanese tea ceremony requires years of practice, and that's true to this day as well. The simple act of making tea must be performed in the most polite, most charming, most graceful, and most perfect manner. If anybody has ever been to watch a tea ceremony performed, or if you have the opportunity to, I highly recommend it. It is a very sort of humbling, and it's humbling and also very relaxing. You do very polite and charming tea ceremonies. I'm not trained in Japanese tea ceremony, but I have been to them, and it's quite lovely. There are strict things that you say, you do, you move in specific ways. You drink when you are told you can drink, and then you have to thank the tea master in specific ways. And this is with matcha specifically. There's with preparing matcha. And you are given little rice cakes, little rice candies to go along with the matcha, to help balance the bitterness of the matcha. And that's all part of this ceremony. Tell that to the British. Oh, we will get to the British. We will get to you. Something comes cool to attend at least once. Absolutely. I mean, you can find videos of them on YouTube as well, but sometimes at anime conventions, they will actually have, usually anime conventions will have some sort of association with a local Japanese cultural group. And so usually they'll offer tea ceremonies that you can go and watch at anime cons. I have done nothing wrong. Please don't get me. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. The British literally were just like, tea is our entire personality. They did nothing about this other than start a couple wars, okay? They did not contribute. Anyways, we're gonna watch the history of tea in 6 minutes. Some of this will be repeat knowledge, but it's great. I like this guy's editing. He sounds like he's 16 years old. It's a great video.
Welcome to A Brief History of Tea, the world's second most drunk beverage after water at 3 billion cups a day. Tea is native to Southeast Asia, especially around southern China. Legend has it that Chinese Emperor Shen Nong was sitting in his garden sipping a cup of boiled water as was the custom. Leaves from a nearby bush blew and landed into his cup, turning the water green. He tasted it and liked it. This legend has no proof, however. During the Tang Dynasty, a book was published by Lu Yu entirely about tea. It talks about tea drinking, the way tea was grown, how it was processed, how to prepare tea, and how tea was evaluated in quality. Tea was made into bricks which were used as money in the outer regions of the empire. In the Song dynasty, people invented powdered tea, making it easier to brew. Later, in the 13th century, the Chinese roasted the tea leaves and then crumbled them instead of steaming them, thus inventing loose-leaf tea. Tea became so popular that the government accepted it as tribute from other countries or provinces. Japanese priests and monks introduced tea to Japan, and the emperor encouraged people to grow it. Tea promptly became a drink of the higher religious classes and an important part of Japanese life, as is shown by their tea ceremony. Tea then spread across Asia and towards Europe. An Arab trader in 879 recorded that most of Guangdong's money came from taxes on tea and salt. In 1557, Portugal took control of Macau. News of the wonderful, wonderful tea spread back to Europe. The Dutch established the Dutch East India Company and brought back green tea leaves to Amsterdam. Tea spread to England in the 1650s and from there spread to British colonies around the world. In India before British rule, tea was grown for medical usage. Britain decided to grow tea there as the climates were similar to China's. They hoped to stop relying so heavily on the Chinese monopoly. Tea was stolen out of China and Indian plantations began production. In 1833, the East India Company sent in a botanist to China to bring back more species of tea to India so that the company could begin its own production instead of trading Chinese tea. Using Chinese seeds and techniques, the British started their tea trade by giving land to anyone who agreed to grow it and export it. Native tea plants were soon discovered in Burma, however. The British East India Company came to India and began mass production of tea on plantations across the colony. It spread from India to Sri Lanka in 1867. These plantations solely grew black tea. India became the largest producer of tea in the world for nearly 100 years. The largest consumer in Europe was the United Kingdom. Britain began to import tea in the 1660s from Amsterdam. The British East India Company became one of the largest in the world, controlling parts of India and owning a private army of around 280,000 men by 1857. The company even bought Singapore and established it as a colony. At one point, the East India Company controlled more territory than the United Kingdom itself did. The East India Company learned that tea was the most profitable of its trades. It was originally advertised as a medical drink, but at the close of the 17th century, by the power of advertising, was an all-purpose one. By 1750, tea had become Britain's favorite drink. The British East India Company noticed that ships returning from the East Indies were sometimes empty or half full. Huge amounts of advertising to the British public rose demand and shipments began filling the half-empty ships. A fungus in 1869 destroyed Sri Lanka's coffee production, making tea even more popular. Sri Lankan farmers, devastated by the destruction of their coffee, soon switched over to tea. Britain liked tea, but it liked sweet tea more. The solution? Grow sugarcane, and lots of it. African colonies began to export sugar more rapidly to meet the vast demand. Tea is still seen as a symbol of Britishness, and rightly so, as Britain inhales a staggering 160 million cups a day, or around 58 billion cups a year. As the American Revolution kicked off, tea drinking in the 13 colonies dropped sharply as it was considered unpatriotic, and that is why most Americans drink coffee today instead. This tipped the East India Company close to bankruptcy. Unfortunately, during the Qing dynasty, the emperor decided that China was the center of the world and of everything, and so everyone must pay China in silver. British wealth began to drop as the silver from its treasury was traded for the precious tea. To solve the money issue, the British began to grow opium poppies, which were then traded into China for tea. Opium spread through China, and soon the public was hooked. The Chinese banned the opium trade, and with now no extra income to pay the traders to bring back tea, and tea forming a big slice of the British Empire's taxes, London declared war in 1839. Britain lost 69 troops in 3 years, while China lost around 20,000. After peace, where Britain forced China to buy drugs from them, Britain declared war again in 1856, saying that China had broken the treaty, starting the Second Opium War. Tea also helped contribute to the start of the Industrial Revolution because of the caffeine boost it gave workers, allowing them to work longer shifts in the factories. During the Industrial Revolution, tea drinking prevented diseases across cities because in order to make tea, people had to boil the water, thus killing most of the bacteria inside. Nowadays, many people use the tea bag in order to brew their tea. Tea merchant Thomas Sullivan first invented tea bags in the United States in 1908. He began to sell samples of his tea in small bags. People thought that the bags were supposed to be put in the teapots as with metal strainers, and thus the tea bag was born. The idea took off in the US quickly, but in the United Kingdom, tea bags didn't catch on until
Tea bags were
1953,
an
when tea producer
accident.
Tetley began to
People
advertise
were just like,
them.
oh, this is what we brew our
Today,
tea
as in the past, India and China are still the leading producers of tea, though tea has spread to 35 countries, a long shot from the old Chinese monopoly. 3 billion cups of the stuff are inhaled every day across the globe, perhaps because tea is cheap to make at roughly 3 cents a cup at home. To meet the demand for 2012 alone, 4.68 million tons were grown, and more added every year.
And that is the history of tea in 6 minutes. Well, 6 minutes is also all it took for me to set up my tea table and prepare myself some tea. I decided to finish off the last of my Jinjun Mei wild black tea. So please don't kill me because I'm British. I won't. It's actually hilarious, but the tea bags, yeah. Britain is the one person who hops onto the trend and makes it own to everyone. It was their idea. Yeah, basically. Also, hi Ellie. I meant to mention these actually before the video, but it's basically similar stuff to what you just kind of went over. So, there are two prevailing philosophies in Japan that I think are really pretty, so I wanted to share them. They are some symbolic foundations of the Japanese tea ceremony. One of them is Ichigo Ichie, which is through tea, recognition is given that every human encounter is a singular occasion which can and will never recur again exactly. Ichigo Ichie. Which I think is just kind of a beautiful philosophy. Through tea, recognition is given that every human encounter is a singular occasion which can and will never recur again exactly. And then the other one is wabi, which is finding beauty in the imperfect, appreciating the profound in all things nature. Both of which I just think are beautiful. Are you still friends with Ghosty? Yes? Bizarre question to ask. What? When I am not talking about anything to do with that, and also just a bizarre question to ask a person if they're still friends with someone. Hi, Wide Eyes. Bye, Wide Eyes. Anyways. So, as we touched on briefly with that video, the Portuguese were the first to encounter tea in China. It was the Portuguese. Their technology advanced navy had given them first access to trade with China. In 1606, the first tea chests arrived in Europe. Tea was shipped to Lisbon, and then Dutch ships transported to France, Holland, etc. France and Holland were the first European countries to embrace tea, and England was the last to join in like 1652, 1654. Russia was introduced to tea around 1618. So even Russia had tea before England did. When the trade route was established, the route was 11,000 miles long, took 16 months to complete, and contained 200 to 300 camels laden with goods. England was the last of the seafaring nations to break into the Chinese and East Indian routes. England started to find that transporting the money needed to buy tea was a problem. China didn't want to trade for England's only commodity, which was cotton. The John Company, which is the East India Trading Company, I believe, they grew opium in India, sold it for silver, and then traded the silver for tea. When the Chinese emperors tried to stop this trade, England fought for the right to trade freely, which was the Opium Wars. Chinese emperors were like, stop selling our people drugs. And England was like, die about it. By 1650, the Dutch were actively involved in trade throughout the Western world. Tea was introduced to America by English and Dutch settlers. After the French-Indian War, England decided to place tax on goods being sent to the colonies as payment for having fought their war. This led to the Boston Tea Party! Boston officials refused to return 3 shiploads of taxed tea to Britain. Colonists boarded the ships and threw the tea overboard. The colonists wanted to be taxed only by their elected officials. This was a key event that led to the American Revolution. I hate being British. British really went skill issue, yeah. I remember the Boston... You remember it? Were you there, Moki? America entered the tea trade with new, faster clipper ships that outsailed the slower, heavier British ships. Clippers were known for their length. By 1843, clippers were everywhere, but mainly on tea/opium trade routes as the demand for tea from China grew. Larger clippers were called tea clippers. Smaller ones were used for opium trade and were called opium clippers. America developed a trusted trading partnership with China by paying with gold, which broke England's monopoly on the tea trade. The first tea shipment to arrive in Canada was imported by the Hudson Bay Company in 1716 and took more than a year to arrive. I was there because I'm old. Oh, okay. No, don't play again.
Welcome to...
Stop. Okay. Do I guess have to... Okay. We move on to different types of tea, and in this instance we're talking about true teas, so that's teas that come from the tea plant. I'm going to drink some of my red tea. That's how it would be called in China, but in the Western world we call it black tea. So, I want you guys to take a guess at how many types of tea are in this picture. Like, of the 6 different tea types, white, green, oolong, yellow, black, pu'er, how many types of tea are in this photo? My God, this tea is so good. It tastes like honey. It's just a straight tea. At minimum 1. Random guess 4. 4, 4, 2, 3. They're all tea? It's a Jinjun Mei is what this tea is called. That I'm drinking right now. There are 2 tea types in this photo. Hawk was correct. Do you have more fun questions later in the presentation? There's one other question. We could do polls. We could. We could do a poll for the next one. There's only one more, and you can do a poll for that one. Actually, I'm trying to think if that one... would even... Okay, you might not be able to do a poll for that one, because I'm not sure if it'll translate well. But there are 2 types of tea in this. Split down the middle, the 4 images on the left are all white tea. The 4 images on the right are all green tea. Olive Boy, thank you for the follow. Welcome into the Kingdom of Salt. So, by definition, the tea is defined not necessarily by the color it steeps, by the color of the leaves, but by its processing. White tea is considered one of the purest forms because of the fact that you pick the leaf and you leave it to dry. Sometimes there's some other steps in there, like with the Zomba pearls, which is that very dark colored white tea. The Zomba pearls are from Malawi, and they're really nice. It's a really good tea. Um, and it is the Zomba pearls specifically come from, or at the point in time that I tried it, it came from a single farm of a woman-run, uh, every part of it. It was a woman-owned and run tea farm, um, and a small team of women as well who handpick and dry and pearl the tea into those shapes. Um, but so we'll go from like left to right with the tea type. So the first one is silver needle white tea. It is considered one of the highest value ones, or Bai Hao Yinjian is the name for it. And with silver needle tea, once it's finished steeping, you can tell because the needles will float straight up and down in the water. And so once most of the leaves start doing that, you know your tea's ready to drink. Women are so cool, so true. Zomba pearls I already mentioned, and then we go down to the bottom left. That is a xiaomei white tea, a fooding tea cake. So that is, the leaves are actually pressed into this cake so that it can be preserved for the future. I have a tea that's a blend of black and silver needles. Sometimes I let the needles float around. Yeah, I actually finished an Earl Grey that I had from Adagio. Their Earl Grey Supreme has silver needle white tea in with the black tea. It's nice. I actually have I only have... Oh, shit. Bit, hello! Thank you so much for the raid! 1 second, I'm grabbing my tea cake. Hello! Tea, yes! Adagio likes doing that, yeah. Welcome in, raiders, hello! Is there time to ask questions? Yes, please, if you have any questions, jot them down, make note, and then once I'm done going through all the slides, I will answer questions. Bit, how was your stream? What were you streaming? Welcome in, everybody. Hello, my name is Salt Cypher. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a Minecraft and variety streamer. I do Minecraft lore, hardcore, and more. And we are doing a tea talk presentation. It was a tip goal. I am a big tea lover and training to be a tea sommelier. So we have just been talking about tea. We just finished going through the history of tea, and we're now talking about different types of tea. Is tea God? In my opinion, yes. I do have a raid video for y'all to enjoy. Sorry, I just tapped my mic. So that anybody new can check the vibes, get an idea of what to expect if you should choose to stick around, which hopefully you will. So enjoy the raid video, and I will be right back. Welcome into the Kingdom of Salt! Oh my god!
What monsters would there be in the woods?
Anybody want a shrieker animal?
Hiya, Mickey.
Made myself dizzy with how hard I got. If I was imposter, I would hunt you for sport. Tom Nook requires balls? Piss dog. Sorry, I'm a homosexual. This is why you use birth control! Everybody deserves to be terrified equally. We are safe here. We are safe. My god, he's such a wet gentleman. Goose has a knife. Goose has a knife. Her nostrils are so careless. I've read fanfics like this. You got a weird cat? Yeah, she's naked and doesn't have any legs. I don't have to use my brain! Uh-oh.
The 3 genders: Canada, trans, and homosexuality.
Eat a whole cow! Thank you again so much for the raid Bit. And yeah, go get food, get water, get rest, take care of yourself first and foremost, and I will take care of your lovely community. Streaming some Craft SMP, hell yeah. Art stream later tonight. You are streaming again. Absolute mad lad, GG. Let's see, Friday afternoon, White Dahlia. I thought this was a white tea, but I'm not sure if it is. I think I just misremembered because it's called White Dahlia, but it is a pu'er tea. Yeah, it is a pu'er tea. Okay, so I will show it later. It's called White Dahlia, but it's a sheng pu'er. Um, I will come back to you. I do have, however, where is it? Never mind. That's also a raw pu'er tea. I'm silly. Don't worry about it. If tea had a religion, would the people be called teeties? Technically, people have tried to turn tea into a religion, or tea is a part of different religions. It's often a part of Zen Buddhism, and others. I don't know anything about religion. Buddhism is probably the most I know about. Christianity and Buddhism are probably the two religions I know the most about. Oh, and maybe Judaism. I don't know fuck all. Anyways, I like McNoms. Have good food. Have good food. But yes. So, the tea, typically white tea or pu'er tea, which is fermented tea, we'll get into that later, can be pressed into cakes for storage, transportation, and fermenting. The last white tea on here, so of the, can I guess this one? Can you see that? Shit, no, you can't see that. Next to the cake on the bottom, that is a white peony, which is another white tea again. All four of these are white teas. I don't know, fuck all. Yeah. Then we look at the green teas. So we'll hop back up to this vibrant green one at the top. This is a gyokuro from Japan. Gyokuros are extremely high quality green teas. They have a very fresh and vegetal flavor. You can recognize a gyokuro by the needle shape of the tea, and the deep green color. With Japanese green teas with sencha and gyokuro, typically the more like greasy, shiny, oily the leaves look, the higher quality the tea is. Gyokuros are shaded, like the tree bush, like the tea trees are actually shaded in the last couple weeks before they are picked, so that the tea plants are basically like, oh no, we're under attack. And they sort of it concentrates the flavor and creates a deeper flavor. If you've ever heard of bug bitten tea, which is an oolong, that is another thing that they do. Is the tea has a quite a strong flavor because of the fact that the plants put up higher defenses because they are bitten by bugs. High quality grease, yeah. Uh, Another fun fact, just like in general about tea plant defenses, caffeine is a defense in tea plants. So the new buds and new leaves, any tea, most tea are made from new leaves, new buds. The higher quality ones are, but of course you can get one from like the other leaves as well. Anyways, teas that come from the new buds and new leaves will have higher caffeine content, even if it's a green tea, even if it's a white tea. People say that white tea and green tea are lower caffeine content than black tea, but no, that's not the case. If it is made from the new leaves and new buds, those are going to have a higher caffeine content because that is where the plant is pushing the caffeine because it wants to protect itself, and the caffeine is poisonous to most pests. Threaten the tea. So the gyokuro is that top very vibrant green. The one to the right of that is a longjin or a dragon well, which is a pan-fried Chinese green tea. It's one of my favorites. Longjin, there's different types, of course, but it usually has this sort of nuttiness to it because of the fact that it's pan fried and it's sort of pressed like that. I love it so much. It's so good. Um, Actually, a big difference between like Chinese and Japanese green teas is that most of the time, Chinese green teas will be pan fried or roasted, where Japanese green teas are steamed. And that's a big difference in preparation between the two. The steaming process causes the leaves to sort of retain more of that vegetal flavor, where with Chinese green teas, they'll have more of like that roasted flavor, a little bit of nuttiness. And that's not the case for all of them, obviously, but the majority of them are prepared in these sort of separate ways, which creates a different flavor profile. I also never actually explained the base of what green tea is, which is tea that is not allowed to oxidize. So, like I mentioned, with white tea, the leaf is picked and they let it dry. Green tea, they pick the leaf, they wither it a little bit, to sort of break the cells break the cells of the leaf so the flavor begins to release, and then they immediately roast it, fry it, steam it, etc. to lock in that flavor and stop the oxidation process, which is why the leaves are so light in color, and why they stay green. Do not let the tea breathe. Yeah. um, Yellow tea, which I didn't include any pictures of, but it is very hard to find. It is one of the rarest teas in the world. At one point, white tea was considered one of the rarest teas in the world, but it started to have an upswing and starting to get more popular again. But yellow tea is considered one of the rarest teas in the world, especially in the Western world, because it is similar to green tea. However, the drying process is much, much, much longer. So there's higher risk of the tea molding during the drying process, and it also just takes a really long time. But it tends to lose some of that vegetal flavor, if I'm remembering correctly. I've only ever tried one yellow tea, and that was before I really understood and valued what it was. Um, I know a plant I'd like to fry. Mold tea, yum. That is actually a thing. But anyways, moving on. The next tea, underneath the Gyokuro, that's again Maicho, which a lot of you have probably heard the name of. You've probably tasted it if you've ever been to a Japanese restaurant and just not known. But it is like a sencha green tea, and then they mix it with roasted and popped rice. Though you might think, well, is it really like a straight traditional tea if it has other things in it? Genmaicha is considered a straight and traditional tea because of how long it has existed for. In Japan, originally the roasted and popped rice was mixed into the tea to spread out the tea a little bit more because lower income folks couldn't afford to have pure tea, so they would use the rice to make it last longer. It gets old rights, yeah. Especially black mold flavored. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. The last one on here, the pearl shaped green tea. That is a jasmine pearl green tea. Now, when you see a tea that says it's been scented, not flavored, it hasn't had oils or essential oils or fruits or flowers added to the tea after it's been produced, jasmine tea or teas that are scented are actually layered with the flowers while they are being dried, while they're being processed, while they're being stored. And traditionally, with jasmine teas, the tea will be laid upon shelves and basins and then have jasmine flowers laid on top of them every single day, and they will just sit with the jasmine flowers on top of them, and then the next day someone comes in, removes all those flowers, puts in all new flowers, and then that process repeats. And that is how the teas are scented with jasmine. And so you're not gonna get jasmine flowers in a jasmine tea because they remove the flowers. They are just scenting the tea leaves with the aroma and flavor of the flowers. I've had magnolia oolong before that was scented with oolong. I've had cinnamon oolong that was scented with oolong or cinnamon. So like they laid cinnamon bark with the leaves. I've also this is not a scented tea. But I've had a tea called sticky rice oolong where they actually had sticky rice leaves and they rolled them up with the oolong leaves. Anyways, scam. um anyways, jasmine tea. Jasmine tea obviously doesn't always come in the pearl format, but I wanted to show it specifically because jasmine, those pearls specifically, it is harvested with 2 leaves in a bud, and then it is hand rolled into that pearl style. Hi, Red. Yes, Bit did raid. Next, I'm really hoping that it's not gonna fuck this up. Nope. 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 Okay. I want your guesses. This is what I was like, this could be a poll, and then I was like, no, it can't. Because it's kind of like a short answer. What type, and this is okay, we haven't gone over all the tea types, so I know this is kind of like, I'm starting you to fail, but give me your ideas. What do you think these are? That's spinach. No. Tell me what you think these 2 types of tea are. Rabbit food. Okay, great. Oolong and vanilla. Okay. Says Mossy. Broccoli and vanilla beans. One of them looks like vanilla. One looks like a black tea. Where is... Actually, this one is... I'm going to say the second one is a white tea. The second one is highly oxidized. So, what these are... Not that way. They're both oolongs. And yes, the second one is literally called duck shit oolong. Trick question. Yeah. So, Taekwonyins can have a variation of different vividness in how green they are. I'm slightly upset you said green tea isn't always green because now I can't use the colorblind card. Nope, because this is a bright green, but this is an oolong. Taekwonyin is also known as you might heard Iron Goddess, Iron Buddha, Iron Goddess of Mercy, or Goddess of Mercy. Those are all different names for Taekwonyins. There's also different types of Taekwonyins. I have one here. Though I've had it in storage for a little bit, so it's not quite as green as it once was. I'm waiting to see if it'll focus. Focus! I dropped one. I forgot how much I love this tea. This one is called Jade Taekwonyin. Because it has a very, like, sweet grass, like, fresh floral kind of taste. Looks like weed. Not quite. Definitely harder. That's some good duck shit right there. I remember Jesse C. was talking about Dansong Lao Shi. Yeah! Jesse's Tea House. If you guys want tea creators to check out, Jesse's Tea House, he has a Discord server. He makes TikToks. He makes YouTube videos. I think he does Instagram Reels too. He also has his own shop. And very informative, really funny. Yeah, Lao shit, duck shit, oolong. I have some here. Thank you for the posture check and the stretch. I love his tea podcast. He has a podcast. But here it is. So this is Lao shit, duck shit. I wish my camera would focus. It hates me. Maybe if I put it in front of my face. Nope. It's really good. It does not taste like duck shit. It tastes like, it's kind of like, has a bit of a smoky roasted flavor. And then it has a little bit of a fruity taste too. The color, it's the color and the shape. But also for those who said vanilla, I can see why they do kind of look like vanilla beans. I'm learning things. Yeah, that's the point. Next is 2 more types of tea. Same as before. Split down the middle. I won't make you guess again. This is 2 separate types of tea, split down the middle. The left side are all black teas or red teas, and the right side are all pu'er teas. Wait, I forgot to say my favorite thing about white tea. I knew the pu'er teas. Nice. My favorite thing about white tea, and I think this goes for Sheng pu'ers as well, but there is a saying with them when you have like them packed in cakes, and it is 1 year tea, 3 years medicine, 7 years treasure. That is referring to how long you age and keep your tea for. Brick of leaf. Yeah. So with black teas, you might recognize one of those images from earlier. It's the Kenyan CTC tea. Another one on here is a hand-picked Kenyan tea. And then I also included a purple tea. That's the very bottom left is, it's called purple tea from Kenya, but it doesn't brew purple. It's not the same as, say, like butterfly pea flower, which is purple in color but is not from the tea plant. It is from a purple cultivar of the tea plant. And then the final on the black tea side, the final image is a golden tippy Chinese green tea or Chinese black tea. Oh my god, sorry. I want to build a house of tea bricks. Yeah. Looking at the right side, pu'er is unique in that, first of all, it's a fermented tea. But second of all, there are 2 types of pu'er. There is Sheng and Shou. Shou pu'er is cooked pu'er. Sheng pu'er is raw pu'er. Sheng is of higher value the longer it has been aged for. Shou is cooked in that they try to sort of artificially speed up the process of aging the tea, but it never really tastes quite like an actually aged Sheng pu'er. Well-aged Sheng pu'ers or Shou pu'ers tend to have a very rich, earthy, earthy roasted flavor, like I'm trying to remember because it's kind of like a like carrots fresh out of the earth, fresh dirt flavor. Where Sheng pu'ers, they tend to be sweeter. They'll brew, younger ones will brew lighter in color, and will be sweeter. But then, of course, the longer they age, the more rich and robust the flavor will become. In this photo specifically, I didn't take note of what these specific ones are, but pu'ers you typically would get into cakes. The one that has like the ribbons on it, that's how pu'er tea would be wrapped and presented as like gifts to emperors and things like that. And again, I have a couple different pu'ers here. Ugh. I actually have more than I thought I did. So, these I bought at a tea festival, and I bought them because they are from the same farm, produced by the same people, but one is cooked and one is raw. I brought you gold. I brought you silk. I brought you a brick. And it's like a box of chocolates. These are all single servings of pu'er tea. And they're all wrapped up into these tiny cakes. You would unwrap them, and then you would just put them into your cup or teapot. depending on if, I guess, you're preparing it Western or Eastern style. I like these a lot. For anyone who is also on the West Coast, Friday Afternoon Tea is a queer, independent-run tea shop in Washington, and they have a huge selection of really high-quality teas. These are Ming Fen Shan Dragon Balls, so this is a raw pu'er that are wrapped into these individual balls. Very popular. I think Jesse's Tea House has also talked about those before. And then I also have, which these I know Jesse's Tea House has talked about, I have a Xiaoqing Gan. It's a tea orange. So it's actually a mandarin orange. It's individually wrapped. I guess I have the one, so you can't really see, but it's actually like a mandarin orange peel, and then they put the tea inside of the orange and ferment it like that. Yeah, it's a tea orange. That's what the tea my mom gave me was. Oh, yeah, these are really nice. I haven't brewed them myself, but I've tried them, and they're like sweet. It's lovely. From the same place, the Friday Afternoon Tea, for the owner's wedding, they produced these tea cakes. White Dahlia. It's a 2016 Sheng Pu'er. So, how many years ago is that? It is 2024 now, and it has been aging since 2016. So, this, by the definition, is considered a treasure at this point. And I've never tried it. Wedding tea cakes, yeah. It smells so good. 8 years, yeah. Here, you can see it. I might break off a piece and have it with you guys today. 8 years. I would give real life dollars to smell that tea cake. I'll bring it with me to VidCon. And I bought it last year, actually. So, it had already been aged 7 years when I bought it. I low-key want to bite it now! Let's see. What's my next slide? Oh, yeah. Okay. The sort of last thing I have here is what we'll finish off with, like, the presentation part. I'm gonna keep talking, but I know you can't see. Is how to drink your tea, and the answer is however you want. However you want. You can prepare it English style, where you can have your tea and milk and sugar. You can have your 3 tiers of scones, cookies, and sandwiches. You can have your biscuits and jam. You can have your herbal teas. That's chamomile, peppermint, lavender. You could have medicinal teas. You could have your ginger and your lemon to make you feel better when you're sick. You can grind it up yourself or buy it in a tea bag. The large image here, that's 3 different types of pu'er tea. One of them has been fermented and stored inside of a piece of bamboo. One of them is what looks like a an aged Sheng Pu'er, and then the last one is a Xiao Mei. I can just sip it from spoons. Let's go. So I can eat the brick. If you want to spend hundreds of dollars on a brick of tea and you want to just bite it, no one's stopping you. So I can put tea leaves in my mouth and drink boiling water from the stove. I will not recommend anything that will hurt you. Free will. The illusion of free will. But can I escape? Yeah. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah. The whole point is that you can drink your tea however you want to. And I'll close, or I won't close that in case I want to show you guys any more pictures about it. But let me move my writing over here, because I actually made a tea cheat sheet for my place of work when I worked at David's Tea, because none of my coworkers knew what the fuck they were talking about. So I was like, I'm gonna make it so you have to know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm also pouring more tea. I will move this over here so you can see what I'm doing, but I wanted to wait till like the presentation part was done first. I actually need like something to prop this up on. You know what? It's fine. It can stay there for now. It's not too full yet. It's not a problem. Okay, I'm gonna read this one bit and then I'll take questions while I get set up. Oh, that's real good. That's real good. I'm gonna have to get more of that. That's like really nice. Damn. That's the shit right there. I'm gonna keep this, actually. Also, same leaves. This is the second brew. Second brew with the same leaves. Okay. So, I'm just gonna read off of my tea cheat sheet. Thank you for the hydrate. I will. My cups have little koi fish in them, by the way. Okay, so white tea, as mentioned, purest and one of the rarest teas, light and delicate, often with sweet and floral notes. Process. The leaf is plucked and immediately set to dry. There's no withering or oxidation process. There's some leeway with that. Some white teas do have a more complicated process, and some of them are pressed into cakes, as you guys saw. Steep temperature and time. I haven't touched on that yet, but it is very important with certain types of tea. Can vary. Lower temperature, 45 seconds to 5 minutes steep, depending on if you're doing Western or Eastern style. 45 seconds. That would be Western. The temperature of the water can actually change the entire flavor of the white tea. Can be fun to experiment to find the flavor you like the most. With silver needle teas, for example, if you brew them at a lower temperature, they're a lot more sweet, a lot more delicate, a lot more light. You brew it at a higher temperature, it kind of cooks off the light sort of like soft furs on those baby leaves, and so it produces a slightly bolder. Sorry, my mouth just tastes like the Jinjun Mei now, so I'm trying to recall the flavor, but it makes it a little bolder, a little more robust, more full-bodied. So it can be kind of fun to experiment with the temperature with white teas. A lot of white teas, if you buy it at just like a regular Western tea shop from people who don't really know what they're talking about, they'll be like, don't brew this above 160 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll ruin it. They don't know what they're talking about. I need a temperature controlled kettle that is larger than 350 mils. My temperature controlled kettle that's in my room. Oh, whoops! I forgot to turn off the timer. It was a Christmas gift. It is a gooseneck kettle. I love it so much. It is only in my room, though. I don't bring it to the kitchen. We have a different, like a cheaper temperature controlled kettle that like the whole household uses, but this one is just for my room. Is it really ruining it if I enjoy it? No. No, it's not. When you buy green teas, a lot of the time they'll be like, brew it at this lower temperature or else it will burn the leaves. You're not burning the leaves. When it comes to green teas, because of the fact that they haven't been left to oxidize, they're not as hardy. If you brew it at a temperature of above a certain level, it's not burning the leaves. There's nothing wrong with them. You haven't damaged them, but because of that, how high the temperature is, it's causing certain chemicals to release from the tea leaves, which is what gives it that bitter flavor. So some people really like that. Some people will pour boiling water over a handful of green tea leaves and let it steep for 3 hours, and they drink that, and that's fine for them. So if you like it, hell yeah. Green tea. Unoxidized with a flavor that can very greatly depend on the origin. Can be grassy and savory or nutty and even smoky. Process. When the leaf is plucked, withered, and then immediately pan-fried, steamed, or toasted to stop the oxidization. The steep temperature and time. Lower temperature. Now, when green teas need a lower temperature, they need a lower temperature. 45 seconds to 3 minutes steep, depending. If steep for too long or with water that is too hot, it can release the enzymes that cause the bitterness many dismiss green tea for, when really it's just not correctly brewed. So if you've had green tea before and you didn't like it, maybe give it another go and make sure that you're steeping it at the right temperature and for the right amount of time. Yes, if anybody needs to run and grab tea, feel free to do so. Or any beverage, if tea isn't your thing. Matcha. So matcha... Gay people money!
Gay people money.
Thank you so much, Ash Games, for the 100 bits. I really appreciate it. Varieties of green tea out there. Yes. Matcha is green tea that has been powdered. So typically the leaves are stone ground into a fine powder. And that is what matcha is. Because of that, it has a higher caffeine content because if the leaf has been cut, if it has been ground, if it has been broken, that is going to increase the caffeine content because it's not the whole leaf. So the caffeine has an easier escape. Is there any tea that isn't to your particular taste? Lap Sang Sao Chung. Powdered Japanese green tea. Creamy, bold, and grassy. A wonderful energy boost. Process. The leaf is processed like a green tea, and then the entire leaf is ground into a fine powder. Matcha is also made from the highest quality green teas that come out of Japan. And if you see matcha and it says it's not from Japan, don't buy it. Unless you find something really specialty online that's like from another tea exporting region that is attempting their own version of matcha. Traditional Japanese matcha does not come from anywhere other than Japan. You might find other powdered teas and powdered green teas from, again, other largely, different tea exporting countries might be experimenting with that process in their own way. But it's not Japanese matcha. Don't get scammed. Steep time and temperature. Lower temperature, shaken or whisked with a small amount of water. Once a paste is made with a nice crema, like with pouring an espresso shot, it can be drunk as is. You can pour over ice, add milk, water, however you want to serve it. So when you see the bamboo whisk and the bowl, that is for matcha preparation. Also make sure it's pure. The stuff at Starbucks, a lot of places like coffee shops and stuff, it's fine. It tastes good, whatever. A lot of those powders, they aren't just pure matcha powder. They might have flavoring added, they might have fillers added, they might have sugar added. Keep that in mind when you're buying matcha from cafes and stuff. I know that unless they've changed it, At least a couple years ago, matcha from Starbucks was not pure matcha, and it was not prepared properly. But it still tastes good. Of course, you shouldn't be drinking Starbucks right now, anyways. But oolong tea, partially oxidized tea. So as you remember seeing from the presentation, they can look and taste and smell very differently. Partially oxidized tea, less oxidized, tend to be more creamy and smooth, where the more oxidized ones can have more caramel and fruity notes. The process, typically from higher altitude locations, the leaf is picked, bruised to begin the oxidization process, and then depending on the intended final product, heated at different points in the oxidization process to add complexity to the flavor. Steep time and temperature, lower temperature, 2 to 5 minutes steep. Again, it can vary a little bit. Oolongs can be steeped for longer, but the best way to enjoy them is to re-steep the leaves until they have fully uncurled, and that's with rolled oolongs specifically. Multiple 1 to 2 minute steeps will get the most out of your oolong leaves. Again, these are for recommendations for a Western style preparation. If you're brewing it Eastern style, a good oolong, you could easily get like 12, 15 steeps out of. Black tea or red tea in the Eastern world. Fully oxidized tea, often with the boldest, most astringent flavors. Process. The leaf is plucked, withered, bruised, and left to oxidize. Fully oxidized, which is what darkens the leaf color and allows the essential oils from the leaves to concentrate and intensify the flavor. It is then dried/heated to stop the oxidization process. Steep, temperature, and time. Boiling water, 2 to 5 minutes steep, or longer if it's a flavored one, because the flavors really dim down that black tea. Black teas will get stronger as they steep, which means every person can play with the exact steep time that works for them. Pu'er tea, post-fermented tea. Process. This tea is typically processed like it would be a green tea or black tea, but then it is heated at a much lower temperature so the tea remains alive and can continue to age and ferment. Pu'er tea can be left raw, sheng, and fresh to produce a refreshing and earthy flavor, or cooked shou to carry a more rich and caramel flavor. But again, aged sheng pu'er will have the same flavor as what a cooked shou pu'er is trying to replicate. Steep, temperature, and time. Boiling water, 2 to 5 minutes steep, can be prepared like a black tea. Next, we go into the not technically teas, herbal teas, mate, huayusa, and yaupon. Mate, huayusa, and yaupon. Mate is from South America, typically exported from Argentina, I believe. Huayusa comes from Ecuador, and yaupon is actually in the southern states. It's a type of holly. They are higher. They have natural lower caffeine, but it releases in your body in a way that it energizes you over a longer period of time. It has like a timed release effect. Traditionally, yerba mate was sort of like the drink that like the hunters would you drink this before you go out for your hunting at night, so it would keep you energized. It has all sorts of different health benefits, but yerba mate or mate, huayusa, and yaupon, they're all sort of similar. Rooibos from South Africa, that is naturally caffeine free. If you want caffeine free tea but you want a stronger flavor, rooibos is the way to go, or fruity herbal teas. A lot of the time you might hear someone say, or wait, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a naturally caffeine-free bushy plant from South Africa. And then herbal tea, fruit tea, infusions, tisanes, all the same thing. Any single ingredient or combination of dried flowers, herbs, or fruits. So that's chamomile. That's the herbal fruit. That's the fruit tea that you get from Tivana. That's peppermint tea or lemon and ginger that you have when you're sick. All of those count as herbal teas that are also not technically teas. But you can also have flavored teas where any of the 6 main types of tea, you can add essential oils to that. Earl Grey is typically black tea with bergamot oil added. It's a flavored tea. And you can get ones with rose. You can get ones with strawberry. It's tea in my heart. Yeah. And And then these are just little fun facts that are really just, I think they're neat. But unless you're like selling tea or traveling and trying to buy tea, it's not really helpful. Um, what's that tea? Tea type you haven't heard of? Maybe it's one of these. If someone says red tea, they could be, if it's caffeine free, they're talking about rooibos or hibiscus. Uh, if it has caffeine, talking about black tea, sometimes specifically orange pico. If someone's looking for purple tea, if it's caffeine free, they're looking for butterfly pea flower, which I have some of here. It is a purple flower that is so pigmented, it literally is like a rich, deep blue when you brew it. And if you add citrus to it or any sort of anything that's acidic, it lightens the color and makes it turn pink. It's really cool. I got some masala chai because I wanted to, after mentioning it earlier. Nice. Hell yeah. If you add lemon, it turns purple. Yeah. A lot of the times, if it's butterfly pea flowers mixed with other ingredients, it'll be purple instead of that deep blue. But then, yeah, if you add lemon or any sort of acidic, you could add lime juice, lemon juice, pineapple. It lightens the color. Boba shop near me have butterfly pea tea. Yeah, yeah. On its own, the flavor, it doesn't have much flavor. But that makes it really fun to add to things because you can just, it's like a natural blue. But purple tea or blue tea, butterfly pea flower, or if it's a type of tea that you're looking for, purple tea isn't its own tea type, but a specific cultivar of the Camellia sinensis that can be processed like any other tea plant and tends to brew with a purple tint. That's like the Kenyan purple tea that I mentioned earlier. Yellow tea, color of the tea, white or some green or some herbal teas, or the tea type, the very rare yellow tea. And then if someone's talking about mountain or high mountain tea, that can refer to, if it has caffeine, teas, most commonly oolongs. High mountain oolong teas have a creamier flavor a lot of the time because of the altitude. But it could also be referring to the caffeine-free Greek mountain tea, which has a similar flavor to chamomile. Again, the tea world is vast. There's a lot going on there, and nobody expects you to understand it all. Have you ever played Coffee Talk? I have not. I don't know what that is. At this point in time, my formal presentation is done, and I short supply of midnight customers. Huh. I'm gonna look that up. That looks fun. But if you have questions, now is your time to ask them. I am going to move my tea table over to my desk so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and I can talk more about the actual equipment. I get Thai milk tea from the boba shop down the street. What kind of tea would be in that? Typically, boba milk tea is made with Assam tea, which is from India. Thai tea, I actually looked into this recently. What type of tea is in Thai tea? I think it is also Assam. I think it's what defines Thai tea is the type of milk that they use. Yeah, it's made with sweetened condensed milk, I think. But the tea itself is going to be like an Assam black tea. Green tea and matcha are different. Why are they used interchangeably? What do you mean? Now I can make it at home. Yeah. Uh, any sort of strong black tea, if you can't find Assam specifically, even like if you get an English breakfast typically is an Assam and maybe orange pico, and it's a blend of different black teas, and so you could even use that. And the big definer there is going to be that sweetened condensed milk, which adds a very specific texture and flavor. Assam, my beloved. A lot of matcha products here are labeled as green tea sometimes. Matcha is a type of green tea, but a lot of the time, lower quality tea brands or less informed tea brands, or if they're marketing it to less informed customers, they'll just label it as green tea. Um, Especially, I'd say in the UK, because the most popular tea there is black tea. I think part of it is probably just that it's harder to market green tea if they don't kind of lump it together. Um yeah, I've seen that like over here. I've seen that has been the case. And when I was in the UK, I wasn't as obsessed. I wasn't as tea obsessed at that point in time. I was just getting into it. Um but a lot of the times, like over here, when I've seen it kind of used interchangeably, it's just from a place of marketing or lack of understanding a lot of the time. But matcha is a type of green tea, so it's not technically wrong, but saying something is matcha does make it sound like it's higher quality sometimes. Um, how do you drink matcha? I've seen people put concentrate. I don't know how to drink it. I know how to use the bowl and whisk though. I mean, if you know how to use the bowl and whisk and you know how to make it, after that, once you've made your matcha concentrate, essentially, you can pour it over ice, you can add milk, you can add more hot water to just fill up the cup because it's very concentrated when it's in that format. So you're not really even diluting it if you add things to it. Um, but that is what you would do. Did that is that answering the question? I don't actually know. I think I need more space. I do. I need to move my keyboard. Okay. I'd say if you're ever like in the store and you're trying to get green tea or matcha, look at the ingredients because that is going to be the biggest defining piece. If you look at the ingredients or you look at the if it's a loose leaf, if it's not a powder, it's not matcha. If it has anything else added to it, it's not matcha. Um and that is typically going to be the biggest sort of defining feature. Okay, I'm just pushing that back a little bit. I've just filled it out and drank it by itself and see people put on vanilla ice cream over cold brew. I didn't know there was a correct way. Technically, the traditional way would just be to drink it straight from the bowl as is. You don't add anything else to it. You don't put it over anything. Traditionally, you would just drink it straight with a sort of sweet treat on the side to balance the bitterness. Um, but I really, it's totally up to you. Um, Fill it up with water after. Yeah. Typically, my favorite way to drink matcha is I will prepare it as is, and then I'll pour it into my mug with steamed milk and sugar, or add more hot water and just add like a little bit of cream or a little bit of milk. Basically, there is a correct way, and it's whatever brings you joy. Exactly. And there are some tea enjoyers who might say otherwise, but I say they can stuff it. The point is, if you're spending your money on the tea, you can prepare it how you want. No one can police how you consume a tasty beverage in your home. Exactly. So I am now going to rearrange my situation here and move my camera. There's too many things on my desk. Matcha over ice cream sounds delicious. That sounds really good. You're basically making your own matcha ice cream. Okay. Okay. First of all, you guys can look at, this is Asparagus. He's my tea pet. And I'm still drinking the Jinjun Mei. My tea table, how this works, it has a drawer underneath that the water goes into. This is my Yixing red clay teapot. It's not a particularly high quality one. I got it secondhand, and it's quite cheap. Typically, it shouldn't do this. How, like, it wiggles the lid. That is a sign of a lower quality Yixing pot. Little lad. Yeah, he's missing a leg because I brought him with me to Bites, and then I threw him and his leg broke off, but I think it's charming. He is named after, I used to have a crested gecko, whose name was Asparagus, and so that's who he's named after. I think I get too much shit from my barista for dirty matcha lattes because I enjoy my silly drinks. That's fine. That's fine. I also have I have a couple other tea pets that I'll show you as well while the water is boiling again. I've made a mess on my bed of all of the tea. Whatever. Why did you throw him? He was wrapped up in a sweater, and I pulled out the sweater, and it broke. Anyways, tea pets are made from leftover clay from making proper teaware. So they're kind of just fun little guys. They sit on your tea table, and they just kind of hang out, and you can feed tea to them. This is another one of my tea pets. This was bought off my wish list about a year ago. I call him Ohana. It's a little pig family. And they have these little coins. That's really cute. I imagine you checking me the bite for some reason. It's really funny, actually. I have these two pigs. I forget what their heads say. But I think I just named this one Eno, because that means pig. And I think his head says happiness. One of them says happiness and one of them says fortune, I think, but I always forget which one's which. And this is Technoblade. Technoblade, I think, is the one that says fortune. The Technoblade and Eno I use specifically for specific tea types. Okay. I was considering breaking off some of that tea cake and making that for the first time with you guys, but I'm still drinking this one, so I figured I'd just show you that this is a tea pick that's used for breaking apart tea cakes so you can get pieces and then put them into your teapot. Now, this is my third steep of this Jinjunmei. Hi, White Eyes. This is called a fairness cup or a gongdaobei, and that is used to ensure that every person you're pouring for gets an equal flavor profile. Now, this pot, this also speaks to the poor quality that that if I let it hang off my finger, the lid will fall off. And it also drips quite a bit. It's not very high quality. This strainer was also bought for me off of the wish list, and it's like a little tree stump. It's really nice. Not in front of the tea pets. Do you think there are any flavors that shouldn't go with matcha? I don't think so. I can't really speak to what flavors should and shouldn't go together. Like, I could make recommendations, but... Hello, Syntax! Chocolate milkshake with matcha it is. I'd say, like, there's a chance the chocolate might overpower the matcha flavor, but I don't think it would be bad. Bacon? This tea is so nice. When you're tasting teas, one of the things that is part of that process is, like, admiring the liquor, which is the color of the tea. So this is the third brew, and it's like this beautiful clear gold color. And I will show, this is what we do. We give it to the tea pets. The first flavor that came to mind. I'll also pour some over the pot itself. Because with Yixing pots, it's unglazed clay, meaning that the more you brew in it, it will absorb the tannins from the tea, and over time it will develop a patina, like a glaze from the tea itself and an aroma of the tea. Super old Yixing pots. Traditionally, you use one flavor, one specific tea only with one pot. And over time, they basically become heirlooms, but they absorb so much of the tea flavor that you don't even have to add more tea to the pot. You can just add the boiling water, and it will basically absorb the flavor back from the pot into the water. It is also, when tasting tea, you want to slurp in, like, ceremonial tasting, and as well as I believe it's considered polite in China and Japan to slurp your tea, because doing so causes the tea to splatter around every part of your mouth so that you can truly appreciate the full flavor. It also causes it to cool down while you're slurping it, so you don't burn your mouth, because you're going to burn your mouth. You want to drink the tea while it's still hot so that you can fully get that flavor. I'm so happy that you're enjoying, Leaf. I'm very, very happy you're enjoying. I reboil the tea again. boil the water. I'll actually put my kettle has a hold button on it, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm admiring your tea trinkets. Yay! Probably priceless at that point. Yeah, yeah. Um, that's what the Barbie TikTok did. I drank all my tea and I'm sad. See, I do that when I drink. Like, typically the tea that I will have, like, my strong cup of tea, every day is I'll just get like a mixed miscellaneous black tea. Usually it's a combination of like a CTC and like an Assam, and I will make it with milk and sugar, and it'll be so creamy and so good. Thank you for the posture check. That's your kettle. Same noise as my changing settings on my fan. Thank you for the stretch as well. Where would you recommend getting tea equipment from? Um, it depends on what equipment you want. If you want like Western style, if you want like an English style 3-tiered tray for high tea, or if you want to get a tea table, and if you want a clay pot, or if you want porcelain, or if you want a gaiwan. I have a gaiwan. I will show it to you in a moment. This is the shit, I've forgotten. Fourth brew. Maybe I'll finally invest and get the stuff. If you do !T, that links to a couple shops that does have some teaware. Adagio and Chinese Tea Shop, they both have traditional Chinese teaware. I believe Adagio has some Japanese teaware as well. Jesse's Tea House, also, he does have his own shop with some really unique different teaware in there. Good night, Moon. Thanks for hanging out as long as you could. Sorry I kept you up so late. Adagio is really good cast iron teapots. If you're in the market for a nice big teapot, you could probably use as a weapon. Yes. One thing to keep in mind, though, if you're in the market for cast iron pots, though cast iron pots I'm less informed on, but with clay pots, what the material is made of is something good to take into account. Because with like Chaojiu or Yixing clay pots, they will increase temperature as they hold water and sort of as they brew. So you wouldn't want to put like a green tea or a more delicate tea in there, because of the fact that it could cause your tea to get bitter. I love these pots because it makes it so easy to smell. A piece of equipment that's usually on a tea table that I don't have is a scenting cup, where you literally, like, you would pour it into, you would, like, put your leaves into the cup. You know what, it's been so long I forget the exact process, but it's literally just to hold the aroma of the tea. You don't drink from it. Cast iron pots heat up fast and can keep heat for a long time. Yeah, so like they're great. If it holds a lot of heat, that's awesome for pu'ers. That's awesome for black teas. That's awesome for some white teas, and some oolongs as well. But for most oolongs and for green teas, you would want probably porcelain. You could go with celadon or a type of clay that isn't going to hold temperature for as long. I always only remember Yixing and Chaojiu. I can never remember the other types of clay. I really want to get into pottery, though, specifically because I want to learn to make teapots and tea sets. I only remember Yixing, yeah. Chaojiu, When I mentioned grandpa style earlier, um, part of that kind of that nickname comes from, instead of having like your teapot and then your fairness cup and then your cup and like all this other equipment, most tables don't even have a strainer, um, but you would pour basically like this. uh, if like if if these are all of your cups that you're serving guests to, you would just pour back and forth. Um, and that's Chow Joe style. Instead of having that fairness cup, it's instead kind of mastering like a just pouring directly into the cup, but in a way that ensures that all your guests are going to get equal flavor. Um, Jokes aside, you're so cool for knowing all this. I don't even know how I know all this. I'm like, I don't know anything. There's nothing that I know a lot. There's no things that I know a lot of about stuff about. I don't have knowledge. Um, and then I have been talking about tea for 2 hours. So, and see, as this tea, this is again like the fourth steep. It's like if I steep it a little too long, I can tell that I'm on the edge of getting those bitter notes. But it's like it's still it just tastes like it already has honey added to it. It has like this flavor of honey without the sweetness even. Um but it's still sweet. This is the Jinjun Mei from Treasure Green. If you do the T command, I can't remember if it's linked on there or not. But Treasure Green is the name of the store that I got that Jinjun Mei from. But you can also get that tea from other places. For me, I just find something I think is really cool. Suddenly, I know so much information. I don't know where I got all of it from. I've always been really, I guess, envious of those who can learn a lot about something and hold that information and be able to reproduce it and talk about it. Um, I I'd say tea is probably the only thing I can do that with. Maybe Full Metal Alchemist, which is an anime slash manga. But there isn't really a lot of things that I can usually like hold a lot of information about. But this is one of them. Will the VOD be up on YouTube? I'm tired out of my mind. Oh yeah, absolutely. The VOD will go up on YouTube probably next week. I have a couple VODs I need to upload first. But just make sure you're subscribed to the VODs channel. Because I don't when I post to the VODs channel, I don't post about it anywhere else. So if you want to sort of get notified when it's uploaded, make sure you subscribe to that channel. The VOD will also be up on my Twitch for, I think it stays on for 2 weeks before Twitch deletes them. Reminds me of college lecture I got on the heraldry. To the lecture I got to give up on heraldry. I think I'm like, whoa. I don't know if I need food or if I'm getting tea drunk. Which is a thing that some people talk about. I don't believe that it's actually real. I don't understand how someone could get drunk off tea. I think it's just like getting into such a state of zen that you like can see every equation. I think it's more like a meditation thing than like actually getting drunk off of it. But people make videos about it, and I'm like, this seems silly. Shots. Yeah. I drink lavender tea in the morning. I boil a kettle on my desk and put a tea bag in. It's all I know how to do. I mean, fair enough. If that works for you, then hell yeah. Um, I have a lavender Earl Grey that I really like. It's a black tea base that has bergamot oil, um, or it has a very small amount of bergamot oil because the lavender is the focus. But I know it has bergamot because I can taste it. Um, uh, okay, let's see. That was like the fourth. This. Ooh, I almost spilled water all over my floor. Yippee! Okay. Um. Oh, whoops. Okay, there we go. Excuse me. let this go up to like 40 seconds. College core. Or how much is in there still? Okay. All right, I was gonna show you guys my other tea set here. 1 second. Okay. So instead of using, if I was brewing a green tea or something that needed a lower temperature, I would use a Gaiwan. Or I would use Gaiwan in this case, because mine is made of, it's like a porcelain Gaiwan. So, it's a leaf inside of it. So this is a Gaiwan, and it has little fish on it. And I have 2 matching cups. So if I was serving, if I had a guest I was serving, I would serve with these cups instead of, this is just the one that I have on my tea table for me alone. I forgot about the tea. It's fine. Yeah, I steeped that a little bit too long. And if you guys hadn't really noticed or like taken it in, with this tiny pot in the traditional style, in Western style, you're using a lot more water with a lot less leaf. With Chinese style, you're using a lot more leaf and a lot less water, and you're steeping it for like 15 seconds. Each steep you do, you add about 5 seconds. I steep this a little bit too long. I need to drink more tea. I got some rosehip tea and some St. John's wort, but I barely touched either. Rosehip's really nice. Be careful if the St. John's wort was recommended or prescribed to you by a professional or like an herbalist or something, then cool. But be careful with it, because I know it can interfere with some medications. It's also quite, or my experience with it is that it's quite bitter. But as long as you mix it with other things, it's fine. It can help balance that a bit. That is one thing to be mindful of if you are on medications when drinking herbal teas, to ensure that it's not going to have any effects that might counteract or affect medication you're on or cause problems with conditions you might have. A lot of those, it's like prolonged use is what might cause problems, but it's still good to look into. I don't take any prescription meds, but I do really appreciate it. Okay, good. I like to make sure, because I know my audience. But, heck yeah. Anyways, the Gaiwan. So with a Gaiwan, obviously a teapot, you put your leaves in, you pour. With a Gaiwan, it takes quite a lot of practice to get the proper pouring technique, but you would put your leaves in, and then when you're ready to pour, there's a couple different ways you can hold your Gaiwan, but you are basically holding the lid and pouring it. See, that's too much of a gap. Oh god. See, I do not use my Gaiwan super often. And so you would pour it in a way so that it would hold the leaves, but only pour the liquor. And ideally, most people don't use a strainer. I do, so this would kind of save me from the leaves I would definitely leak. But it also does make it really easy to then smell, because you pour out your liquor, all the leaves are in there, and then because of the shape of the lid, it traps a little bit of that aroma, and then you can smell from the lid itself. Something a lot of people don't know as well is that when you're smelling the dry leaf of a tea in like a Western tea shop, that is telling you nothing about how that tea is going to taste. They're pumped so full of flavors so that you can kind of get an idea of what it might taste like, but it is so unlikely that it will taste anything like how the dry leaf smells. The only way you can really get a feel for what a tea is going to smell like is by smelling the wet leaf. Or what a tea is going to taste like. Smelling the wet leaf is your best way to kind of get an idea for what a tea is going to taste like. Does that stop me from smelling dry leaves? Absolutely not. It's ingrained in my soul, I think. But that's why it's like, so people will be like, oh, I don't want to buy online because I want to smell the tea first. It's not gonna make a difference. Just get small samples. Buy like a lot of tea shops online will offer like 25 gram samples that you can buy. Just get a fuckload of those and then keep the packages of the ones that you like, and then you can get more. The leaves smell nice in their own way. Absolutely. Absolutely they do. I love smelling the dry leaf. They definitely have their own unique smells. But it's not going to be telling to how it tastes most of the time. It's funny. There were a lot of people who I think had questions and then either forgot their questions or they had to head out by the time I was done doing the presentation. Whoopsies! Maybe, for the VOD watchers out there, feel free to ask your questions below, and I'll ask, and I'll answer them. I do plan on putting out a video on my main channel that kind of covers similarly to this, except edited down. I plan on doing that in the next couple months, whenever I have the time. Yeah, I don't know. I follow a bunch of like tea YouTubers, and I want to be that. I want that to be me. Except not all the time. Maybe like once a month I'll do a tea video. I think that'd be fun. Brand I used to buy put out an advent calendar, little portions of tea. It was super nice. Too bad they turned out to be an MLM. No! Why does this keep happening? David's Tea used to do those too, and a lot of other tea companies have started doing them as well, so I'm sure you can find a replacement. Adagio has community box that are a sampler for every day of the month. Right, yeah! I bought a bunch of teas from Adagio. I bought like a whole bunch of their oolongs. I think almost all of their dansong, and like higher oxidization level oolongs. I bought almost all of them so I could try them because I've been trying to find a replacement for a specific one I have. I haven't found one. I have a Lang Chai Supreme Oolong that is probably the closest because it has this like red stone fruit flavor that's really good and it throws up because I want it so bad. Anyways, this tea might be done. Ruby Oolong, but it was super expensive. Ruby Oolong is expensive, but really nice. That's another one that like there might be variants of it, but I've tried one, and it was it's a rolled oolong, but it's a slightly higher roast, so it's slightly more oxidized. It was really nice. Had a quite like well-rounded, robust flavor in comparison to a lot of lighter oxidized oolongs that are more light and floral or even like crisp. I ended up giving leftovers of that ruby oolong to one of my friends and coworkers. Some Adagio oolongs sell out super fast too. I swear they're always out of at least 3 of them. What are your favorites? Because I bought a lot of them, and I'm curious on your opinions, Rin. Because I think my favorite, because I tried the Formosa, I didn't really like it. The Wu Yi Ensemble, I think was my favorite. The Dansong Aria I just finished, and it was nice, but not as fruity as I wanted. Ugh. God, I love tea so much. Okay, we're gonna try for. Actually, this is kind of cold now, so I'm gonna give it to. I'm gonna give it to asparagus. I'm gonna see if I can get one more brew out of these leaves. I oversteeped it, so I don't think I'm gonna get the full 8. I'll also move my guy one back. Pulls up the website so I can remember. Asparagus, perfect name for that little friend. Yeah, I love him. He's great. I got him from the Chinese tea shop. There is a physical store. It's quite a ways away from me, but there's a physical store, and that's where I got him from. I think it's also where I got this Gaiwan and cup set. I hold him gently in my little paws. Yay, he is loved! Yeah, that's gonna be the last of this one. I'll put the Gaiwan away. It just sits on my tea table. There we go. Adagio teas. If I can't see the names, they all leave my brain. That's fair. I'm excited. I bought their jasmine sampler, so I'm excited to try that out. Okay. I hate how my camera's not focusing on... Like, you have the power to focus on this, my dude. It just doesn't want to. This reminds me, I gathered a bunch of horsetail. Ooh. Mm-hmm. I've never... Horsetail? Okay, so this was before I really got into tea preparation as much as I am now. But I used to work at a specialty food store that sold a bunch of herbs for medicinal purposes. Horsetail included. And all I remember about it is that it's a diuretic. But most caffeine-free things are. If you put it into a tea, it's gonna make you pee. I'm really interested in tea after this, so thank you. I'm so glad. The great thing, and this was something that my teacher said during my like first class to become a tea sommelier. I've completed 1 out of 8 courses. And this was one of the first things that she said was that she's like, I have been studying tea for 40 years and there is still more to learn. And so it's kind of a beautiful thing is that there's always more to learn and there's always things you can do. Like right now I've been really into learning about the different types of teaware and I really want to try and make my own teaware. But I need access to a kiln and a wheel and pottery tools and clay, and I'm broke, so that's not happening. Um, I'll put some stuff on my throne wish list, I guess. But it's very sort of... The fuck was that? Oh, it's humbling, and it's like it gives you a sense of peace. Fujian orchid. Oh, oolong from Darjeeling. Ah, yes. because it's from a small section of tea farm. I think that was 2 that I didn't get to try because they were sold out. Actually, I do have a Fujian one. Let me see. I have it over here. Come here. Okay, the one I have is the Fujian. I don't know how to say it. Fujian Rain. And then I have the Wu Yi Ensemble as well. I think they were sold out of both of those when I was ordering a bunch. Is the Fujian Orchid that sounds like it would be more floral? It's supposed to be pretty good for your hair and nails from what I've heard, but I just like the taste. Oh, cool. That's awesome. I love things like that. Knowing everything there's to know about something would be really boring, I bet. Yeah. And the thing is even if you learned everything about something, find some new way to explore it, you know? One of the most recent courses they've added to the tea sommelier program that I am doing is mixology. It's literally how can you mix tea with alcohol or cocktails or food and pairing it and stuff like that. And it's creating just a whole new. It's well, we've learned everything about preparing tea on its own. What else can we do with it? And it's really cool. Maybe I will get one more out of this. I don't know. Well, I feel at peace. The more I hear, the more I want to take that tea sommelier course. I think it's an international course. One second, I'm gonna pour out my water. I'll go and give this a proper rinse later, but it makes it easier to do so if it's not on the tray itself. I am going to floral, smooth, and sweet. Also green and one kind of tastes like grass. My brain is struggling with words. You're fine. You're fine. I am never gonna judge someone's means of describing a flavor or a tea. I literally describe pu'er tea as tasting like dirt, and I love that. So you're fine. Shit. Where was the wet part? Fuck. What side was wet? I've already lost it. Oh well. I'm trying to put this back down so I can put my. There we go. A very important part of any tea table is a tea towel. So if you want to start your own, keep that in mind. Oh, I did spill water all over my bed. That's a problem for later me. Every green tea ever, I go, grass. I'm also in Canada. Oh shit. Okay, right. I think you've mentioned that before. I can link. What is it? Academy of Tea. I could just put it in here. Here we go. This is the school that I'm going through. Their courses are all online, so it's super accessible no matter where you are. I think you have to purchase your own tea tasting kit. Like the 1 second, I have it here. Like you have to get. This is the official tea tasting set for like the Western world and also South Asia. So you have to buy one of these yourself, but if you just look for like, what is the word that I'm looking for? I'm like forgetting. The like standardized tasting kit. You need one of these. But otherwise, part of your like the class fees are they send you your tastings for the entire course. It's like 8 weeks or something. And it's depending, the different classes cost different amount, but it's anywhere from like $200 to $500 per course, depending on what teas they're sending you, because some of the teas are real nice. And they're like, here's this really expensive high grade tea, blind taste it. But it's great though. It's really cool. And a lot of the people who take the courses are like involved in the hospitality or like food industry. And so you meet some interesting people too. Did I spill water all over the floor? You know what? Again, that's a problem for me later. I need to get a job immediately so I can pay for it. Hell yeah. Also, I took it. I think I was finishing up around this time last year, I think. And like I haven't been able to take the second course yet, but like I have access to all the old material from the first course, and like my certification still stands. So I encourage anyone to check it out if that's something that interests you. I'm not a school enjoyer, but I greatly enjoyed this. I did spill water all over the floor, and I'm just stepping in it. That's okay. Um, we are gonna wrap up for the day. If anybody else had any other questions, now would be the time to ask it. Otherwise, if you think of something, you could ask during my next stream. Or you can ask in the comments of the VOD when it goes up on YouTube. Or ask, I can't think of any, I don't know, somewhere else. You can ask. Sorry, I got distracted. You will have opportunities to ask. Thank you for educating me on the world of tea. Thank you for being here. Tumblr. I do have a Tumblr. I don't check it super often, but if you sent me questions about tea to my Tumblr, I would be very excited to answer them. So it might take me a while to get to them on Tumblr, but absolutely, you can always ask me questions on Tumblr. This was so interesting, and I did take notes. I am so glad. This was really fun. And I am very glad that those of you who have stuck around enjoyed the vibes. I hope you learned something. I hope if you weren't a tea drinker before, maybe you'll give it a try now. And if you try one and you don't like it, don't give up. maybe you had to find the right one, and you have to find the way that you want to drink it for you. Is it just having a big cup with milk and sugar and it's your big cozy cup, or making it with steamed milk in a latte format? Or do you want to sit down and make a ceremony out of it, make a routine out of it, a habit, disconnect from the internet and or put on some music and just sit and enjoy some tea for a little bit? And that is how you learn your way of tea. Because everybody has their own way. No idea if I'll find a tea for me, but I got the history behind it now. And that's fine. I feel very relaxed and at peace now, and I am going to go cook dinner and have my big cup of milk and sugar tea after I sat here and drank the really nice stuff for a couple hours. I will see you guys Friday. We are going to be rating Bite, who's doing Mer SMP lore, and he might be ending soon, but I trust whoever he sends you off to. You'll get a nice little bump. Say hi to Bite, and then she'll send you off somewhere else. I will see you guys on Friday for Subnautica in the evening. There's also more Mer SMP lore happening on Friday that Zypher will be involved in, but I'm not streaming, so hang tight for that. A ping will go up on Friday when that happens. And then Saturday, we're continuing with Pokemon, and Sunday is the singing stream. So lots of fun stuff this week. Here are the raid messages. Whether you are subscribed or not, you can copy whichever one applies to you to put that into Byte's chat once you get to the other side. Sorry. And here are a couple more tea shops that I recommend. And what else can I plug? There's my commission info as well, if you're ever interested in having a picture of your OC or your Blorbos drawn. My portfolio is linked there, as well as my Ko-fi, where you can commission me directly through there. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. I will see you guys on Friday. Take it easy and enjoy your tea.
Well, I'm back in